Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Da 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 da! You sound insane. You realize that? Yeah. The whole world gone crazy!
Whoa, Leo, you're not talking about Corky.
In a family of made men, Corky Romano was made of something different. But now,
your family needs you.
The most gentle and caring veterinarian in the world.
But I have animals that depend on me. I'm sorry.
Will do whatever it takes.
Pull down your pants.
No.
To save his family.
Corky, I'm not going to give you a wedgie. I'm going to put a wire on you.
I had a little too much coffee. Woo!
Corky Romano.
Okay, MAM fam, how's it going? It's your boy Richard. I got a mug full of coffee and a heart full of hate. Let's talk Corky Romano. So, how did we get here? Well, a lot of life decisions, a lot of mistakes made, a lot of horrible things I've done, karmically and literally, that have led to where I am. So, if you are new to the show, God bless you. I hope this isn't your first episode. We do a thing once a year called the Movie Draft, and where we pick movies and then based on their box office performance and critical reception and their budget, it's a formula, an algorithm that we have patented, they get a score. And then you accumulate those scores. I think we picked like 8 movies or something. And you accumulate those, and then lowest score has to do a solo episode voted on by, it used to just be we would choose, but now we get the Vipers involved and the rest of the MAM fam too. So, quick plug. A lot of this was decided in the Discord channel, which is a chat room feature we have for VIP. So it's a $4 a month. You get like 4 or 5 extra episodes a month, plus a lot of like content to vote on and things like that. A lot more of a say in the show. And then you also get this Discord thing, which is really cool. It's 100 or 200 or 300 people in there, all talking movies and stuff all the time. So anytime you're bored, you kind of pop in, and a bunch of like-minded people like you talking about movies. And unfortunately, those traitors chose Corky Romano. So I have a long-time feud against Chris Kattan, and I'll explain it as such. When I was a younger man, I was an intern for the Adam Carolla podcast, which was kind of one of the first real mass podcasts out there. This is probably 2007-ish, and I was 20 or 21, and I got to help them out. They're very nice to me, and they gave me a chance to do a lot of guest research and things like that. So I would essentially go on. They would tell me who the guests were going to be for that week, and I would make these one-page little kind of bullets for Adam and whoever else was on the show that they could kind of reference, the career of whoever the guest was. And I would accumulate this from as many sources as I could. I wanted the best information possible, and I would do IMDb, has stuff. Wikipedia was around by then. And then also when a lot of people have their own websites with a little bio or something. So I would put together some interesting bullet points that Adam could maybe talk on with the person. So Chris Kattan was a guest somewhere in that time, and Adam mentioned something. I don't remember what it was, and he was like, "That's not true. Whoever does your research is terrible." And then I kind of got some grief for it. They were nice about it, but I got some grief. But I had pulled that information from Chris Kattan, like his official website, and I was like, "Well, why?" No one cared. But I sent that back to the people at the Carolla show. We had a good laugh about it. But yeah, I was like, well, then you need to update your website because it's wrong. So I've hated him ever since because he called me out when he made the error. And he's pretty, it's a one-sided feud. He didn't really do anything wrong. But I get to root against him, and it's been a pretty successful venture on my part, unfortunately for him, but I have nothing to do with that. And I actually, I'm sure if he is a nice guy, I wish him all the best. I don't know really anything about him. So this movie was his, along with A Night at the Roxbury a few years before. Chris Kattan, who I think now is sort of not underrated comedically because it's not very funny, but he was a star for a minute on SNL. I think we kind of underrate. He those Mango sketches, like as weird as they are now, were like the first sketch after the monologue a lot. I mean, that was like he was, along with sorry, my phone's ringing here. Along with Will Ferrell and that cast, he was an important cog in it. And but it's one of those things that happens every once in a while. That's certainly not his fault, but he had a certain comic sensibility that really worked for like 18 months and then immediately seemed ridiculous right after. That happens sometimes. Victoria Jackson is like that a little bit. She was on SNL and then is kind of this blonde ditz, and then that seemed silly right after. I mean, it happens all the time with comedy, and that's just how it goes. So he did Night at the Roxbury, which is also probably not critically loved, but pretty funny movie as for terms of like silly SNL comedies go, because Will Ferrell co-wrote the script and he went on to co-write a lot of great comedies. So it has those, while it's an absurd premise about two club guys, it has some coffee cups with our names on it. Yours says Doug is a very like Will Ferrell type joke, and Chris Kattan's perfectly fine in that movie in that character. But this vehicle was, I believe, right after Kattan left SNL, and this is what he left to go be a movie star. I had never seen this movie, and I didn't have my feud with Chris Kattan until much later. But I don't think many people saw this movie. It was not a hit and was critically reviled, and even the like trailers, were just terrible. Like the guys want some cookies and things like that. We're kind of immediately. You could tell this was not going to be funny right away, which is not always the case with comedy. So I watched it today for the first time. It is now 2020. This is the day after the Super Bowl. And I had a little break. I got started on work early this morning, so I could take a little break this morning and record this episode and watch this film. And it's really bad. The cast is weirdly interesting. I'm going to go through the cast first, and then we'll talk about the plot of the movie. The cast is obviously Chris Kattan. Peter Falk, Columbo himself, is the father. Peter Berg, a lot of Peters in this. You can take that however you want. Peter Berg, who went on to be a big director. He's made a lot of huge movies at the Friday Night Lights show, all kinds of stuff. Pete Berg is one of the brothers. Chris Penn, who sadly is no longer with us, but had a really interesting career with Reservoir Dogs and things. It's the other brother. Fred Ward is like it's a mafia movie. Fred Ward is kind of the consigliere, the Robert Duvall type thing, but he's also an informant, and the plot for this is ridiculous. We'll go into it. Zach Galifianakis, got to be one of his first movies. He's in this, which was jarring. I did not know that. And Richard Roundtree, Shaft himself, shows up. So there was a lot of like kind of Vincent Best stories in this. It's a lot of people for this kind of movie. You go, oh man, that's a tough beat for you. But luckily, this movie was so irrelevant immediately. So there's those bad movies like Cats right now that can maybe be a stain on your career because they're sort of extravagantly bad and in the zeitgeist. This, I don't even think, registered with a blip. And lucky for this, it was a pre-internet era and all of that. So there wasn't quite the lifespan for bad content that there is now, because it's fodder for the Twitter and world and all that. So, and podcasts like ours and blah blah. So this is the movie. The movie is a kind of a mafia spoof thing, not to be confused with another SNL mafia offshoot, which is Jay Moore's Mafia, which is just a straight up kind of Hot Shots or Zucker style spoof of mafia. This is kind of that, but also not. It doesn't make much sense. It's just Chris Kattan is a nice veterinarian who's overly happy and just sort of naive and guileless. And he's the member of this family. He's been sort of ostracized by this mobster family, and because they're all these tough guys, Chris Penn, Pete Berg, Peter Falk, and they've been infiltrated by a mole who is Fred Ward's character. And so they decide to hack it. They have a hacker played by Zach Galifianakis, and they hack the system of the FBI and get their brother that no one knows about, this nice veterinarian, into the FBI as a mole for them. This is the actual premise of the movie, and there's a part where Chris Kattan reaches his hands out to shake his brother's hand, and his brother farts on it. That's probably the funniest joke in the movie. Yeah, it's really bad. Fred Ward, whew. I mean, this guy's been in some stuff. It's like almost he's trying. I've never seen a weirder bad performance from someone who's done some okay stuff. Chris Kattan is just over hamming it up. I mean, it's aggressively not funny, and of course that it happens now. You know, bad comedy in 2001 is of course going to be exponentially less comedic in 2020. But this was aggressively unfunny in 2001. It's almost impressive. It's always also a good sign when the director doesn't even have like a Wikipedia and barely an IMDb, and he directed this film. So there's that. It was kind of but he would like that one back when he got a chance to direct a movie. So that's the premise of the movie. It's terrible. There's no redeeming anything in it. It's what, you understand why Chris Kattan kind of went away. And it was before, I'm trying to be a little positive for him. It was before we had this kind of like in-between zone for SNL alum. So it used to be you were on SNL and then you either went into obscurity or you were a stand-up like Chris Rock, Spade, those guys, or you became a movie star. And there was not really, with the exception of Spade with like Just Shoot Me and stuff, not really this kind of secondary route that we have now that you can just go get a show, preferably on NBC, that we've seen Amy Poehler do, Tina Fey do, Andy Samberg's done that. Obviously Fallon and Seth Meyers got talk shows. It was kind of, and so I feel like there is a world, if Chris Kattan his fame was a little later, where maybe they make him a side character on an NBC, maybe he's like Kenneth the Page on 30 Rock, and then we think a little more of him because there's some better writing around him. There's not the stakes of like, you're carrying this movie, and if this doesn't work, they put Norm went and did Dirty Work, someone you would never think would headline a movie. And also Screwed with Dave Chappelle, a little thing. But like, that's just what we force people into movies, and that works when it's Will Ferrell, and that works when it's Adam Sandler, and that works when it's Eddie Murphy, certainly, but Mike Myers. But not everyone is built for that, and that doesn't mean that they're terrible. But especially when they don't write, I don't believe Chris Kattan was much of a writer. He's more of a performer, which isn't a shot at him. I just mean there's different kinds of SNL cast members. When you can't create and generate your own material, you're at the you can only do what scripts come in. You're at the mercy of what scripts come in. And so he chose this one. It was a starring vehicle for him. And I think ruined his career because it was so bad. And taking him out of that 4-minute, you can't touch the mango, or the silent Butabi brothers, or being kind of a wingman for Will Ferrell, reveals him to be not quite capable of carrying a film, and maybe he could have been, the third lead on a sitcom and been fine. So that is my kind of critical macro thoughts on this film. The script is really bad. The dialogue is terrible. But it is still, this is what I would say. Not only is the script really bad and unfunny and unnatural, it's still better than the acting. I can't express how bad the acting is in this movie. It's like a bad student film. So like, as bad as the script is, it's underserved by this cast. And this cast has a lot of interesting people in it, but it's like they're so out of rhythm with the script and so not caring. Chris Penn looks like he's actually like hates his life during this. It's a bizarre movie on that. And I recommend all of you watch it. It's on Amazon. I had to pay for this. Not only do I have to pay for this, it is now, in the world we live in, I will now forever have this like in my data on stuff. So it's I've been paid for it on Amazon. No free plugs, but I think you're all aware of Amazon. And it's like, whether I bought it, I don't think you can you still buy things through iTunes? I don't think you can. iTunes is gone. So yeah, but if you forever, if whoever you buy this through, Apple TV, Amazon, Voodoo is like, that's Walmart, right? There will be somewhere on my, like, whatever the new credit version is of like Richard Barton content per viewer. That's not a word. Content viewer. It will always, this little clip will be, I will get some sort of recommendation in my life on my Instagram or something based on the fact that I paid $2.99 to rent Corky Romano in 2020. And that's what I resent. That's what I resent from all of you, is not that I had to watch this. It's a short movie, thank God. It's 85 minutes. I was able to kind of break it up. But it is the record that I will have in my life, the stain that I will carry, and I would say my children will carry this burden, and they're not even born yet. They're innocents. You have that on your hands, people that voted on this. Kent, Brian, for nominating this. You guys will always have to go to sleep at night knowing the fact that you ruined, worse than when I bought, when iTunes first came out and I bought like a Fall Out Boys song, and then forever on Apple Music when I was trying it. And then before I switched back to Spotify, I would get recommendations based on this mistake I made in 2005. This is worse. There will be commercials I see. There will be, when I'm scrolling the gram, when Alexa's listening to me, she will be listening to me now knowing that I am someone that buys Corky Romano. And she's in my office right now. So she's hearing me say the words Corky Romano over and over again. And I will get things for this. Recommendations, ads, direct mail based on this decision for the rest of my life. And I hope that you find some peace, but I never will. So that's my final review on Corky Romano. Now, I got into the VIP chat this morning as I'm watching this because I was desperate for any distraction. Also, this movie is also offensive to me because I had a cat named Corky. We got a cat named Corky in 1999, before this movie was around. It was a great cat, and I had him. It was my mom's cat, and then when my mom passed away, I adopted the cat, had him for a few years until he passed away. I had this cat in my life for like 16, 17 years. He's a great cat, and his name was Corky, and I had to always love him a little less because of this movie after it came out when he was 2. Loved the cat, but, you know, some things you can't change. Okay, so I went to the VIP Discord today, another ad for that, and this is the kind of stuff you get. You get me dropping in going, hey, look, MAM Fam, VIP MAM Fam, I got about 15, 20 minutes on Corky Romano, and I've got, by law, I have to do this episode for 30 minutes, and that's a bummer. And so I'm going to need some filler content. I'm going to need some questions to be asked. They can be about Corky Romano. They can be about Chris Kattan. They can be about anything. And I'll answer a few of them. And that way we can kind of fill this episode, because the real joke is on you, the listener, right? Because, you know, Kent and Brian get off scot-free. That's great. We made Kent watch Minions last year. And now I have to do this, which is fine. But then the real thing is, the reason I like to only do a few minutes on Corky Romano is, yeah, you get to hear me suffering. You get to hear the hurt and anger in my voice. But also, you have to listen to a podcast about Corky Romano. That's a loss for you. So what I try to do is mix in a few. You see how I'm spinning this? A few questions that are you know, maybe some Corky Romano, some not, so you can get some sort of entertainment out of this. I'd also like to blame. This is another thing. I've got notes here. Sorry. I'd also like to blame the movie draft this year. It was a little bit rigged for the win. Not rigged in that he cheated, but like, so what we do is every year, whoever finished last, which was Kent last year with Minions, he had to do Minions, gets to pick first. And we do a snake draft. So you go, you know, let's say this year we went Kent first, Brian second, Richard third, Richard fourth, Brian fifth, Kent sixth, Kent seventh. You know, you get 2 picks on the end of each round. So it evens out a little bit. Well, Kent this year, just not his doing, just kind of lucked into Avengers being an obvious first pick. And it, you know, biggest movie of all time and had good reviews. And so it was over the minute that movie, and he had Captain Marvel 2, which was a great pick by him. That was skill on his part. I should have picked that earlier than he did. And he gets credit for that. But those 2 movies alone were probably the 2 highest scores of the year. And Avengers was just, it was over from then. So it became a battle between Brian and myself. And I have a strategy every year. What I try to do is I try to pick kids' movies. And the reason Pixar especially, and Brian has now caught on to this. This is why he always picks kids movies, because kids movies a lot of them are great. Most Pixar movies are in fact great films, but a lot of them are kind of, no pun intended, treated with kids' gloves critically. So what'll happen a lot with a very mediocre kids movie, which if it was an adult movie, would maybe be 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, an average, mediocre film. When it's a kids movie, it's like 81 because everyone goes, hey, yeah, it's cheesy, but it's not for me. It's for 6-year-olds. So in terms of what 6-year-olds think, it's great. I'm going to give it a positive review. And that's fine. So I always try to game it by picking kids films because you can really, they do really well at the box office because people want to take their kids to the movies, so they shut up for a while. And then B, they get a little bump in the Rotten Tomatoes score, which is a big factor. Rotten Tomatoes scores don't matter. Never forget that. A lot of good movies have rotten scores. A lot of bad movies are fresh, but it does matter in the terms of this game. So I did that. I picked the Lego movie, and I'm mad at two things. I'm mad at all of you. The Lego movie was a fine little movie. The first one did great. It was made on a responsible budget. It had fine, and then just no one saw it. And I don't know if that was the release date, but I was sure that was going to be a big score for me, and just no one went to see it. Everyone just waited for it to come on streaming so their kids could watch it then, and it'll probably be fine. But yeah, it wasn't as good as the first Lego movie critically, but it did fine. And it just barely made back its money, which is that's one I would draft again. I still feel like that was a smart pick, and it let me down. The second, and this one's where I'm actually angry, is all you nerds out there, and I'm coming at you on this, all you nerds who over criticize, and I'm obviously this is totally selfishly motivated, but you all criticize these Star Wars movies. None of them, Rian Johnson's an idiot. He ruined it. Now J.J. Abrams ruined it back, and you just nitpick and nitpick and nitpick. And that filters its way into critical consensus. And then now this last Star Wars movie, Rise of Skywalker, which was another one of my picks, which was a perfectly fine movie, gets overly reviewed. And now it knocks the Rotten Tomatoes score down and makes me narrowly lose to Brian. And now I have to see Corky Romano because of all you little nerds with your action figures and your, whatever. I don't know. I like Star Wars, but I don't know the whole world. You're I'm not going to make a dumb Star Trek joke and pretend like I'm mixing them up, but you know what I mean? You know where my heart is. I will never forgive you for this. And I told the Vipers this. I'm Irish. We're good at very few things. We're genetically just built to die. But I am very good at holding grudges. I will eliminate people from my life immediately and hold grudges forever. I get it from my mother, and it's one of my, goes against how everyone tells you to behave, but it's one of my favorite things I respect in people is the ability to hold a grudge, and I respect myself so much. And I will never forgive you for that. Okay, so that's the last part. This one is, would I rather have dinner with Corky Romano or Maggie? I would say I'm going to throw it a third.
Don't set him off, yo, huh? I said don't set him off, yo, huh? Do you want a new motto? Mitts off the whip, paws off the dog. Excommunicado, John lost the lotto. But now I tell y'all where you can drop your blood oats.
When I eat, I don't like to be grinded upon, which is why I stopped eating at strip clubs for lunch after, the deal's so good on the buffet. Okay, so if I could put a mild curse, this isn't anything bad, on any celebrity, who would it be? I think I already did that with Chris Kattan, would be my answer. Shouldn't have crossed me on the Corolla show. Let's see. If I could swap places with either of my co-hosts, would I choose Kent or Brian? Man, that's a good one. Good question. Well, I'm trying to think this through. How do I insult both of them? Right now, I would because I'm doing a solo episode on Corky Romano. I don't know if you caught that. I would probably switch places with either of them happily. But since in the general and the aggregate, they both have good lives, great. They both have, I'm going to be nice. They have wonderful wives. Brian's got a great son. Kent has 2 pets, J. Daniel Catless, who we named his cat, and Tito, who's pretty awesome. Great dog, great cat, dog-cat combo. Brian has Lucy, a great dog. These are the things I factor in, mostly dog-related. Both live in the Fort Worth area, Kent downtown-ish. Brian, a suburb right outside. So they're on the opposite side of town for me, so that's about the same. Man, who would I choose? You know what? This is a very superficial thing. I think I would switch with Brian because one of the great joys of my life is playing basketball, and Brian plays basketball. So, I would still be able to play pickup. And Brian plays a lot of his schedule. I don't know how he does it. He plays pickup basketball all the time, and I'm wildly jealous of that. So Ken's life's great, and it'd be great to be as talented as Kent is technically, but basketball would bring me far more joy. Juice Boxer has some questions for me. What were my top 5 favorite Super Bowl commercials? I don't have 5. The Bill Murray one was good. Were there Clydesdales this year? Because another thing I'm bad at being Irish is I repress everything. I'm unable to show emotion. But those Clydesdale commercials always make me cry. Anything with animals, I'm very susceptible to. And anytime there's a Clydesdale and a dog together as friends, I love interspecies friendship amongst animals. It's one of my things. That could go a lot of directions. So yeah, I didn't see a Clydesdale one. I need to look that up. Oh, Fast 9 trailer, obviously fabulous. Can't wait for that. Bond trailer, cool. The electric, I like cars. The electric Audi, especially not the one they focused the commercial on, but then they went to the second one, which was like the Q5 SUV. That's electric. That's going to be a hot car. Don't care about the new electric Hummer, though. That seems diametrically opposed and stupid. Do I have a song that I sing along to every day and I don't know why? Oh, boy. Right now, I've been binging, I think I'm not alone in this, the Succession theme. Just constantly going in my head. Who's going to get a kiss from Daddy, if you know that parody. And let's see. I think that's about it on the questions. I think I got one more I'm missing here. Then I'll wrap this up. Everyone's mad at me for not doing full Corky Romano. But no, again, I'm gonna spin this like a Alan Dershowitz style. You would have to listen to that. If I was really frame by frame breaking down Corky Romano, sure, dunk on me. But you listening to it for 30 minutes is a huge dunk on you. Oh, Pablo asked, what's a movie that I enjoy hate watching? Honestly, and this is true, and I'm going to confess something here, and I called it the minute I saw it. If any of you that knows watching the show, it's a movie we make fun of. I've signed probably 50 of these DVDs to mail out to people. And it's a big thing, but if it's on TNT, and I called it, I walked out of the theater with Kent. We saw an advanced screening of Now You See Me 1. And Kent goes, that was the worst movie I've ever seen. And I said, I agree. And I cannot wait to watch it all the time when it's on TNT. And Kent said, I never want to see that movie again. And I've watched Now You See Me probably way more than I've seen like a movie I really love. I've seen Now You See Me far more times than I've seen like The Master, which was one of my favorite movies of the decade. And that just shows that I'm a broken garbage person. But yeah, something about it is oddly captivating. It's ridiculous. I haven't seen the sequel that many times. I don't know if it's just not on as much, and it's even more patently absurd and bad. But yeah. So for sure, Now You See Me, and I will always enjoy hate watching it. I watched it recently. My wife was making dinner, and it was on, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to hammer out 50. And I could either help my wife cook, which she would hate more than anybody, or watch Now You See Me for 20 minutes, and I did that, and it was wildly enjoyable. And I sent a lot of texts to Kent and Brian of great quotes and stuff. And now with the Discord channel, I could share that with all of you, which you should sign up for. Mad About Movies Podcast /VIP. Okay. Kent's question is, here's my AMA question. Using the language of English through your vocal cords, can you explain in a minimum of 30 minutes what you liked and disliked about Corky Romano? So, yeah, I can do that, Kent. And I've just done that with, maybe a few, one wanders out off the path. But the general thesis of the show is Corky Romano is terrible. There's nothing to like about it. Chris Kattan gives one of the worst performances I've ever seen on film, and he's not the worst part of this movie, acting wise. It's completely. This should be taught, like, you know, they teach, in different film acting schools. They show you scenes and show you how to really. It's different than stage acting. This should be taught on like a what not to do basis. Everything is either over the top or just stilted, like they're reading the dialogue for the first time. I don't know if there was cue cards on set. There's just no way to know. And yeah, it was bizarrely bad. And I can't, they always say the editing bay is the last rewrite of a movie. And I can't, if the editing of this salvaged anything, oh boy, what kind of horrible things did we have? So, all that being said, go see it. It's $2.99 on Amazon or something, and you can rent it, and you can join me in the hell of being recommended things by Jeff Bezos, based on my admiration for Chris Kattan and Corky Romano. Sign up, madaboutmovies.com/VIP, so you can be involved in stuff like this. It's $4 a month. Is the tier that gets you the extra episodes and the Discord channel and all of that good stuff. It is well worth it. I think I've said this before, but number one compliment we get on this show is I don't really have a lot of friends to talk movies with. No one likes making fun of them and talking about them like I do. And the Mad About Movies podcast is like hanging out with my friends and talking about movies. And that's very nice. That's what compliment means the world to us. But you can have friends like that in the Discord channel. And three of them are us. We're in it all the time. We message, especially, Kent and Brian do a better job than me. But I'm in it every day for a certain period of time. They're in it every day, all day, just chatting it up. So sending links, sending funny videos, talking about stuff. We have all these sub threads on various different movies and TV projects and music and everything. But it's like-minded nerds, like all of us, all across the world, just chatting it up about whatever we want to chat it up about. It's a great community, not really based around this show, but like I think the great thing about this show is that people have found it and they get to all now bond in the Discord channel. So sign up for that at madaboutmovies.com/VIP. I am Richard Barden. You can follow me at Richard Barden, Bardon, on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. And I will follow you back maybe, if you're interested. I do a little maybe graze the last 5 tweets you made. No, but you're welcome to follow me. And you can also find me, like I said, in the Discord channel. That's where we're the most active. Thank you for listening to this. If you made it all the way through, God bless you. And until next time, I'm done. I've hit 31 minutes. You got a minute 45 extra that you didn't deserve. So until next time, my friends, MAM fam, VIPs, all of you, I will see you at a cinema not showing Corky Romano. Peace.